Hello, warriors of the spirit. Welcome to the Sword of Wisdom channel, a place where we forge character, discover inner strength, and live with honor. Our mission is to make each of you stronger, not only physically, but also mentally. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and your support is the collective step we take toward this goal. Subscribe to be a part of this exciting journey towards self-improvement. Today, we'll talk about what holds most people back. Fear. How can we conquer it? How can we make it our ally? Together, we'll explore effective ways to overcome fear, using the wisdom of the samurai and modern approaches. Ready to take control of your life? Let's begin. Understanding fear. The first step in overcoming fear is awareness. Many of us live in the grip of emotions, without truly realizing what we are actually afraid of. As the samurai principle goes, he who fears but does not know what, has already lost. This is a deep truth, because fear without a face becomes an enemy that cannot be defeated. That's why it's so important to start by looking within. Why is it important to understand your fear? Fear without understanding is destructive. When you can't pinpoint exactly what you're afraid of, fear becomes a constant backdrop in your life. It prevents you from making decisions, taking risks, and moving forward. It's like a fog that clouds your vision and keeps you from seeing the path ahead. Perhaps you fear failure, but don't even realize it. As a result, you keep putting off important tasks without understanding why it's happening. Awareness of fear is half the victory. When you know your enemy, you can prepare for the battle. Samurai warriors didn't just study their enemies before battle, but also analyze their internal feelings. They would ask themselves, what am I afraid of in this battle? Death, defeat, or being seen as weak? The answer to this question helped them prepare and focus on action, not emotion. How to find the root of your fear. Practical exercise. Stop. When you feel fear starting to take over, it's important to pause. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Why am I afraid of this? What's the worst case scenario I'm imagining? Write it down. Take a piece of paper and a pen. Start writing your thoughts without judging them. Don't be afraid to admit your weaknesses. For example, I fear failing my exam because it will make me feel like a failure. Or, I fear talking to strangers because I think they'll judge me. Look for recurring themes. Most fears come down to one thing: the fear of loss, whether it's respect, safety, or even life. Understanding this helps you realize what's actually holding you back. A story from the samurai. A lesson from the past. One of Japan's famous warriors, Takeda Shingen, would meditate before each battle, contemplating his fear. Once, someone asked him, "How can you stay so calm in the face of death?" He replied, "I fear, just like everyone else, but I allow my fear to show me my weaknesses, so I can turn them into strength." This approach applies today. When you understand what you fear, you can turn that fear into a signal. For example, the fear of failure can become motivation for better preparation, and the fear of judgment can push you to develop self-confidence. How did the samurai view fear? Samurai believed that fear is not the enemy, but a part of being human. They knew that you couldn't rid yourself of fear, but you could learn to live with it. To do this, they followed these principles. Acknowledging fear. They never denied their emotions. Warriors openly said, "I am afraid," because they understood that in acknowledging it, they became stronger, not weaker. Training the mind and body. Samurai knew that fear often arose from unpreparedness. That's why they constantly trained, honing their skills until they became second nature. If I know I've done everything I can to prepare, even in the face of danger, I can act with confidence, consciously accepting the worst-case scenario. They would say, if I accept the possibility of defeat, fear will lose its power over me. Your first task: accept fear as a signal. Try changing your perspective on fear. Instead of seeing it as an obstacle, view it as a teacher. Fear tells you, pay attention to this. You need to be stronger here. Fear is a part of human nature. but don't let it control you. Start with the first step, awareness. Identify what exactly you're afraid of, and ask yourself, how can I use this fear for my growth? Like a samurai before battle, accept your weaknesses so you can turn them into strength. Remember, awareness of fear is the beginning of your victory. Embrace fear. Many of us try to run from fear. We avoid difficult conversations, refrain from trying new things, and postpone important decisions because we fear failure or vulnerability. But this approach only makes fear stronger, solidifying its control over us. The samurai, on the other hand, believed in embracing fear, seeing it as a path to true freedom. One of the key principles of the samurai is Fudoshin. This concept means a steadfast mind, a state of absolute calm even in the face of danger. Fudoshin teaches us that fear is a natural emotion, and fighting it is pointless. But if we accept it, we can gain control. Why do people fear embracing fear? Many of us perceive fear as a weakness. We try to appear strong in the eyes of others and, most importantly, in our own eyes. Acknowledging fear feels like a defeat. We run from situations that make us uncomfortable. For example, we postpone public speaking. We avoid major decisions that could change our lives. This flight from fear only strengthens it. The more we avoid challenging situations, the deeper fear becomes rooted. The samurai knew, running away is pointless. They understood that fear wouldn't disappear until you face it head on. Embracing fear is the first step toward overcoming it. What does it mean to embrace fear? Embracing fear means acknowledging its existence. You don't try to suppress the emotion. You don't blame yourself for feeling afraid. You don't run away. The samurai said, I see the fear. I acknowledge it. But it does not control me. This recognition allows you to release unnecessary tension and begin acting with a clear mind. Practical exercise. Stop and breathe when you feel fear start to take hold. Try the following. Stop. Cease what you are doing. Leave everything for a moment. Take a deep breath. Breathe in through your nose. Hold it for a few seconds. Then breathe out through your mouth. Repeat this 3 times. Breathing helps slow your heart rate and reduce stress. Acknowledge the fear. Tell yourself, aloud or mentally, I feel fear. This is normal. It's part of me. Focus on the present moment. Ask yourself, what can I do right now to handle this situation? Embracing fear is not passivity. It's an active step that returns control over your emotions. How did the samurai do it? Before battle, a samurai would adopt a meditation pose. He would breathe slowly, concentrating on his inner state. He would tell himself, death is inevitable, but that's no reason to fear. Fear won't make me stronger. It just is, and I accept it. This approach allowed samurai to remain calm, even in the most dangerous situations. They didn't suppress fear, they learned to coexist with it. Why does embracing fear make you stronger? Fear loses its power. By embracing it, you stop fighting it. This frees up your energy for action. You become calmer. The realization that fear is normal reduces unnecessary tension. You learn to focus. Instead of thinking about the consequences, you focus on what you can do right now. Real life example. Imagine you have an important interview coming up. You start to worry. What if I'm not a good fit? What if they ask difficult questions? Instead of panicking, stop. Take 3 deep breaths. Tell yourself, I'm scared, but that's normal. Everyone feels this way. It's just an interview, not the end of the world. Now you can calmly prepare, focusing on what you can control, your knowledge and confidence. Embracing fear is not weakness, it's strength. It's the ability to acknowledge your emotions and not let them control you. Remember what the samurai said, fear is just a signal. It shows me where I need to become stronger. Acting despite fear. The samurai does not wait for fear to disappear. He knows that fear is a natural reaction to the unknown, but he never allows it to paralyze his actions. Instead, the samurai makes a conscious decision to move forward, despite fear. This is where his true strength lies. In psychology, This approach is called exposure, gradually approaching what frightens you. Instead of avoiding difficult situations, you start confronting them head-on. Why act when it's scary? Fear always tries to keep us in our comfort zone. It says, "Don't risk it, you might fail. Stay safe. Why bother?" But the truth is, without action, we remain stagnant, depriving ourselves of growth and new opportunities. The samurai knew that great victories were impossible without overcoming their fears. Example: you fear public speaking. If you never try, this fear will follow you your whole life. But if you start small, like telling something to friends or a small group, fear will gradually begin to weaken. Samurai principle: move forward despite fear. The samurai didn't wait for fear to vanish. They knew fear could accompany them until the very end. But that didn't stop them from acting. Before battle, a samurai would ask himself, "What can I do now to protect my honor and my loved ones?" This focus on actions, not fear, helped them maintain their resolve. Small steps. The path to big victory. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This famous quote by Lao Tzu, well known in Japanese culture as well, reminds us that every path starts with a small action. You don't need to conquer your fear entirely at once. Just take the first step. Example: you fear starting a new venture because you're afraid of failure. Take a small step. Write a plan, learn more about what you need, or talk to someone who has already been through it. If you're afraid of heights, start with small climbs. Gradually, you'll climb higher, each time overcoming your fear. Every small step strengthens your confidence. You begin to realize that fear cannot stop you. Practical exercise. Overcoming fear through action. When you face fear, try the following. Identify what you're afraid of. Write it down on a piece of paper. Recognizing the fear is the first step to overcoming it. Break the fear into pieces. For example, if you fear public speaking, start by speaking in front of one person. Then, talk to a group of friends. Later, speak in front of a small audience. Take the first step. Don't wait until you're 100% ready. Start acting now. An important note: don't rush. Actions should be gradual but consistent. This will help you avoid burnout and move forward confidently. A samurai story. In one of the samurai legends, a young warrior feared facing a powerful opponent. He went to his mentor and said, "I fear going into battle. What if I lose?" The mentor replied, "Your fear will never go away, but if you act, it will weaken. Take the first step onto the battlefield, and fear will start to die with every move you make." The young warrior followed the advice. He went into battle, feeling his heart racing with fear. But as soon as he made the first strike, fear began to retreat. He realized that fear was just an illusion created by his mind. Why is this important in the modern world? In life, each of us faces situations that scare us. Approaching a stranger, speaking in front of an audience, starting something new. But if we wait for fear to disappear, we lose time. Acting despite fear makes us stronger. This is a fundamental principle that works in any situation. How to keep yourself going through this process? Remind yourself of your goals. When fear tries to stop you, remember why you started. Celebrate your successes. Even small steps deserve praise. They show that you're moving forward. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the journey. Even the samurai sometimes lost, but they always learned from their defeats. Fear is a signal that points to your weaknesses, but instead of avoiding it, start acting despite it. Remember, you don't need to be fearless to be brave. Courage is the ability to act despite fear. Fear is not the enemy, it is the teacher. It shows you where you are growing, where your limits are. The samurai knew. True courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. When we face fear, it becomes a mirror. It reflects all our weaknesses, our insecurities, our comfort zones. It can be tough, and in moments of fear, we often want to avoid what scares us. But if you learn to look fear in the eye and not run from it, you will find that behind it lies the path to personal growth. The samurai understood that fear is not something to fight or try to eliminate. Fear is a tool that helps you see where you haven't yet traveled and where you can still become stronger. Every encounter with this feeling opens a new lesson, a new opportunity to become the best version of yourself. True courage, as the samurai teach us, is not about not feeling fear, but about acting despite it. It doesn't mean that fear disappears, but you begin to see it as part of the journey, not an obstacle. You understand that fear is not the end, but the beginning of a new stage. Motivation. Remember, every time you face fear and overcome it, you become stronger. Follow the example of the samurai, and one day, fear will no longer stop you. Every victory over fear is a step toward inner strength. It's not just a victory over the feeling, but a victory over yourself, over the parts of your personality that weren't ready for change. Every situation where you feel fear and decide not to avoid it, but to move forward, makes you stronger. The samurai teach us an important lesson. In moments of fear, don't give up. Don't hide. Fear is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to face your deepest doubts and still take a step forward. It's an opportunity to learn to be resilient and focused in the most difficult situations. And when you begin to use fear as a source of strength, you will see that it holds not only weight and tension, but also immense potential. It's energy that can be transformed into action. Through this action, we grow. It is through overcoming that we become those who are not afraid. We become those who can lead, those who don't stray from their path, no matter the difficulties ahead. Fear, like all emotions, is not the enemy, it is the teacher. It should not stop you, but instead, it should help you move forward to new heights. If you learn to overcome it, you will be ready for any challenge life throws at you. Remember, every time you face fear and keep going, you become stronger. And one day, you'll look back and realize that fear can no longer stop you. You'll become the person who moves forward, no matter the obstacles, who walks their path with confidence and determination, the one who is not afraid to be themselves, the one who is ready to conquer both themselves and the world around them. Closing words. Follow the example of the samurai, and one day you will realize that fear is nothing more than a shadow, and the light you create with your inner fire is brighter than any dark corner of fear. If you want to learn more about how to develop yourself and your inner strength, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. The path of the samurai is the path of growth, and it begins with one step. Here, in this final moment, we reach out to remind you that inner strength is not something you are born with. It is the result of daily work, overcoming your weaknesses and fears. The samurai path doesn't end with one step. It begins with the first step, but every new step will require effort and determination. The samurai way is the way of courage, inner strength, and most importantly, constant growth. We are all students on this path, and to become stronger, we must act. Not wait for ideal conditions, not put it off until tomorrow, but act right now. It is through action that we reach our goal. By subscribing to our channel, you become part of this path. We will be with you every step of the way, guiding and supporting you in your endeavors. Signature in Japanese style. Turn fear into strength. This phrase will stay on the screen for a few seconds, accompanied by soft, inspiring music. We remind you that fear is not the enemy, but a resource. And when you learn how to handle it, it will become your strength. These are not just words, it's a philosophy that can change your life. The camera slowly fades to darkness, leaving only the words on the screen. This structure will conclude your video, drawing attention to the importance of overcoming fear and using it as a resource for personal growth.
Subscribe to our channel. Are you ready to become the best version of yourself? On our channel, we share samurai techniques and lessons that will help you develop your charisma, confidence, and inner strength. If you're looking for real self-development tools and striving for personal growth, you'll find exactly what you need here. By developing your thinking and choosing quality content, you not only become a more interesting person, but also create an aura around you that attracts people. Knowing how to attract others starts with working on yourself, and that work never ends. Every day is an opportunity to become a better person, and your efforts will be noticed.